Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I'm going to be discussing the fact that Bitcoin is more or less on this solo rally, now pushing upwards in the $27,000 region. And ultimately, it looks like it is breaking out of this massive range on the weekly time frame. All the while, most altcoins are still below their previous highs from back in February, some of them still below their highs from back here in August. And ultimately, it does seem that Bitcoin is leading this rally, as evident by the Bitcoin dominance, now up around 7.7% on this weekly candle. So overall, there's a lot of things going on in the market, and it does seem that Bitcoin is leading this rally. And again, I do want to discuss the implications of this, where I stand on the altcoins, and ultimately how I see this playing out with respect to the general cycle. If you guys enjoyed the content, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Also, by the way, I will leave a link to my Twitter page in the description below. Feel free to go ahead and check that out as well. I'm fairly active over there with crypto content. So again, Bitcoin has started to break out above this range, with the range highs being around $24,300. That was where we saw resistance all the way back here in August on this rally, basically rejecting at that level and then coming back down to retest the range lows around 18.6K. Very important range with support, resistance, just oscillating back and forth, eventually having that FTX breakdown. But that ultimately became a deviation when we reclaimed the range. And then we saw how we just had resistance at the range highs, and then now we're getting that breakout. So of course, we haven't had any confirmation yet because the weekly candle has not closed yet. So do keep an eye on that into the next few days when we do get that weekly close on Sunday night. But as it stands right now, it really does look like Bitcoin will have a close somewhere above the range highs, and it will most likely lead to a confirmed breakout, especially given that we have made a very substantial higher high. And what I mean by that is we've broken back above the February highs by about 10% so far. So we really do see the trend working in our favor, working to the upside, especially after the fact that we did have support held and a higher low at the $20,000 region. Very brief move, and if I switch over here to the daily time frame, you can really see how quickly that move was bought up. In fact, in the just next few days, we completely recovered all of this drawdown that we saw over a few weeks. And again, we're starting to push higher. So all of this is very bullish for Bitcoin, and it really has come at the expense of many altcoins, where again, we're seeing how the Bitcoin dominance has been rallying. We're seeing how a lot of other altcoins have not made that move, making a higher high. And again, the Bitcoin dominance has had this massive weekly candle, really just continuing to push up after we did talk about this major double bottoming pattern right off the support around 40% dominance. And in the previous videos on the Bitcoin dominance, we basically discussed the idea of this being the last level of support for the Bitcoin dominance, given how that was where we found support back here in May of 2021, found support in September 2021, brief retest in January. And if I zoom out here all the way, that was a critical level and a higher low from back here in May of 2018. So a lot of historical value behind this level, and if that were to be lost, we talked about the idea of coming back down to the January lows. But the idea was we didn't want to see that move because it was most likely going to be a bearish sign for the market. Just because Bitcoin in general having more and more dominance is a healthy sign for the market. It's typically what we see towards the end of a bear market or the beginning of a new bull run, which you can see happened back here at the end of the 2018 bear market, where the Bitcoin dominance found this local low around 52%, and then it later rallied all the way up to around 72%, which all happened when Bitcoin had that massive move up in 2019 towards that 14K region. So all of this price action where the Bitcoin dominance was rallying came at the expense of altcoins from all the way back here in the 2019 rally. Again, just having a very fast-paced move, leaving behind a lot of the market. And ultimately, this was a very similar rally where it was more or less Bitcoin on a solo grind up higher, whereas most other altcoins just started to bleed that value with respect to Bitcoin. Some of them did not make higher highs, some of them did not make very impressive moves, and that was a major sign, a very healthy sign for the market, that we had basically had this huge rally off the lows, cemented a new 4-year cycle, and then from there we had this massive accumulation before the next bull run. So we could actually be seeing something fairly similar right here, not necessarily expecting a exact replica of what we had back here in 2019, but it could be the general structure of having a pretty impressive rally predominantly led by Bitcoin, and then altcoins don't gain some traction until later on, until the peak bull run where we really do start to see a lot of the retail interest. So that's more or less where I stand on the altcoin market. Again, if I were to look at here just at a few examples, many of them bleeding very significantly. For example, I talked about Cardano in a recent video. This one really just breaking down below support, forming lower lows, and just continuing this downtrend that it has been in with respect to Bitcoin. Losing Bitcoin valuation, losing a lot of this outperformance that it had back in the bull run, and this is happening across the board. Another one looking at Chainlink, this is one that I actually thought was going to hold as support, but you can see that it has actually started to break down, no longer holding this. It is above the May lows, but again, it is continuing to break down after the highs from back here in November. You can look at Uniswap, another example, starting to move lower here, starting to really break down. Avalanche as well. A lot of the altcoins are in a very similar position, a very similar situation where they're no longer having a lot of strength with respect to Bitcoin. They're starting to break down, they're starting to lose support, and we're seeing ultimately Bitcoin is rallying despite all this. So again, that is a very bullish sign for the market. We've seen this before, we've seen this in 2019, and again, I do think that we will continue to see this play out, especially if Bitcoin is at this very aggressive, very volatile move where it does continue at this uptrend, form a longer term bottom pattern, and then start to trend up to say the 30K region. I hope you guys enjoy the content, and as always, I'll see you in the next one.